I think that it's had a positive impact on us because a lot of people would assume that the Black Lives Matter movement in Valdosta State specifically, came about in April 2015 with the Eric Shepherd incident with the initial demonstration. But it was here before then.
The Black Lives Matter movement was started because of police brutality. And since then, it has given people across the country the courage to speak about race, and Valdosta State University is no different.
A lot of people forget that it's actually an organization. It's a nonprofit. It has a national website. It has a headquarters. It has different chapters all across the country, you know. So it's not just a hashtag, and it's not just some sort of recurring thing where people just randomly cut up. It's an actual grassroots organizing activism movement. It's for real.
After the death of 17-year-old Valdosta native Kendrick Johnson, students became more acute to racial issues in the Valdosta community and on Valdosta State's campus.
Well, it has changed a lot of things in the community. It has, the Black Lives Movement is one of the biggest movements to hit our country, well, our world, in a long time. And it has opened the eyes of not only our people, but America. So many protests, so many young leaders have emerged from this movement that it forces people to listen.
I'm gonna take it back to 2013 when Kendrick Johnson died. There was an upperclassman, his name is Patterson Ambo, and he was walking around with a petition being signed. I don't remember what the petition was for, but he was letting students know about what happened to Kendrick Johnson, and it affected me a lot because it happened in the middle of the day. You know, we were probably in class. It was in the middle of the week. It happened up the street from our campus at a high school on public property, you know, and that was a huge problem to me. And the fact that there had been no arrest, still no arrest in the case, still no settlement, no kind of solvency for that family is a huge problem. So that's the first time that I saw it here.
They're definitely upset. They definitely have a right to be upset because more times than not we're treated as a problem instead of someone who needs help, you know what I'm saying? Just like everybody else in the world. We're all not perfect. Everybody does wrong, everybody does right. But a lot of times African Americans are treated as a problem way before we're treated as people, you know, so, and that's a problem. And you see that with the KJ incident. It's more so, it seems like they've been trying to cover everything up instead of get to the bottom of it. So of course people are going to be upset, people are going to be spiteful, people are going to be hateful, people are going to scream, yell, and you're going to see that because all we want is the same justice that everybody else gets, and there should be no reason that people can't get that.
Atmosphere on campus, it was definitely a divide, but in reference to the community was the main thing that was affected to that case because he was a high school student, and so his family are a part of his community. So when they saw this case happen and justice not be served for him and his family started feeling like, okay, this could have been my son, this could have been my family, and it encouraged them to come together and try to seek justice for his family.
VSU students and community members alike have advocated for the death of Kendrick Johnson since the tragedy occurred. One former student in particular, Eric Shepherd, spoke out about Kendrick Johnson's death in the midst of creating his own controversy.
So that's why we step on that flag, because that flag represents lies, it represents deceit, it represents the glory of white people that they like to put forth. And here's the thing, you can see the psychosis of Europeans where they value the menial things and not the grander things. Where are we at? We're in Valdosta, Georgia, right? Kendrick Johnson's death was covered up. So you care more about a cloth on the ground and me stepping on it with a boot than a black man's death. You're out your fucking mind. White people have been out their fucking mind ever since they stepped out of Europe.
I wanted people to know that his ideology is not new. It was unfamiliar to this city because it's like, oh man, you know, what is this? He's talking about killing crackers and, you know, this and that and the third.
That was probably the worst I ever seen. I've been here 5 years. That was hands down the worst because a lot of people don't know Apple Week was that next week, so we were like, he did that, I think that was that Friday, and then the campus was just shook up for that whole week basically because we had the CNN, and my biggest thing was people were talking about coming down doing this flag rally, and you're seeing people, the Army's tweeting the guns, come step on this flag, and the university didn't stand up for the black students then, because everybody's talking about riding around and doing whatever to whoever is African American in Valdosta. Not once did I see campus PD patrolling campus.
It was a situation where an American individual, was expressing himself using his First Amendment right to express himself. And it just so happens that it was a controversial subject. And by him using the American flag and tearing pages out of the Bible, us being, the Pledge of Allegiance, one state under God.
Being patriotic.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like that, but a lot of people miss that there's a negative to anything, including our flag and including, our country. Like, nothing is all good, just like nothing is all bad.
The chemistry of our campus definitely changed. It really was just it was ignorance and a lack of understanding, because at the end of the day, it's not right to tolerate any type of hate or any type of violence or anything like that.
The Eric Shepherd incident created a ripple effect of concern with social issues pertaining to race at VSU and a keen interest in the Black Lives Matter movement. There have even been events that were geared directly towards addressing racial issues on VSU's campus. All Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter, hosted by the Black History Month Committee, Courageous Conversations, hosted by the Biology Department, State of the Black Man in America, hosted by Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and State of Emergency 2, Loud Pack, hosted by Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, are just a few that have happened in the past few months. On Monday, February 29th, presidential candidate Donald Trump held a rally for supporters in the PE complex on campus. The event led to an incident that again sparked conversations about race and equality. Except this time, more students were directly affected by the issue. Many of the students that I spoke with were among those removed from the facility that day.
Since Trump had rented out that entire property, he could technically do whatever he wanted. So I was mind blown at that point.
I know a lot of faculty reached out to us, but as far as administration goes, they made a lot of claims and points, and it seems like they were actually trying to defend themselves before they even thought about defending us, and to me that's a problem.
As in, say again with the Trump situation, before we were asked for what was happening by our president, he already sent out a statement. So it was like communication on those. And I believe that the Office of Social Equity is supposed to help with those matters, but I feel like there could be more could be done.
Basically I spoke with the group of students, basically trying to get them to calm down and understand the reality of the situation and letting them know that it was definitely race related, and that there's no way around it, and this is the harsh reality of our times. And yeah, it's still being handled behind closed doors today.
The Black Lives Matter movement serves a larger purpose than just focusing on police brutality. Students at VSU have used the movement as a vehicle to explore racial issues in constructive ways and to develop a larger view of what it means to be Black in their communities. So, do Black Lives Matter at VSU? If not, what can we do to alleviate the problems we face here?
Black lives do matter in the community and in the world. On this campus, that statement can be backed up with the work that Black people do on this campus.
It just depends. That's why I say that we can't really come up with a solution, because anytime we come up with a solution, it's, we'll have a non-violence movement and Martin Luther King is dead. We'll have a defensive movement with Malcolm X, and Malcolm X is dead. We'll have the Muslim movement, and Farrakhan is banned from TV for 20 years. We'll have people who are Black Lives Matter, and now they're labeled as reverse racists. They're labeled as people, Every time we come up with a solution as Black people, there's a equal and opposite reaction.
People of color, especially Black people, have always done things to fight for our freedom. It's always been there. So, you know, and we have always mattered. It's just, it's taking time specifically in our community for people to wake up and realize, or people to wake up and see outside of themselves.